KFAN and the Vikings are teaming up for Toys for Tots. Join us live at Shields in Eden Prairie on Tuesday, December 2nd from 5:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. for our annual broadcast presented by Unreal. Bring a toy, spread some joy, and if you're one of the first 50 donors each show, you'll score a sweet KFAN and Unreal winter beanie. Details at KFAN.com/toys.
Couple 13-14 pastime common. He's tend to be the legendary Mark Rosen with us now. It was established a couple of times now that
yes, sir.
It would be a million years before you would trade Anthony Edwards for Victor Wembanyama. I have another trade proposal for you.
Oh, you got to, and there's a caveat with what I said. Not sometimes, all the time.
Well, there was no caveat.
No, I'm just saying.
Asked you didn't say anything about health. You just said not.
I did. No. I did. I said the reason I'd be hesitant about Wemby's future. The only reason the guy is as you said, he's a unicorn. He's going to be. I don't know why. I'm just concerned about him.
Well, you said that not the very first time.
I think I did, but that's okay.
But that's okay.
Whatever. No, the first time you talked about the position.
Yeah, the position and what Ant can do. And they're both spectacular players, and Wemby's having a great start.
Here's another one.
Yes, sir.
Would you trade Anthony Edwards for Chet Holmgren?
No.
Did you see Holmgren last night?
I did not see Holmgren last night. I saw his stat line. And hang on one second here.
He was 9 for 9 from the field. Made both of his three-pointers, all of his three free throw attempts. Mm-hmm. He had 23 points and 11 rebounds. Talk about a guy that he's 7'1", yet he plays like a point guard.
Well,
the kid is so talented. He's just scratching the surface because, speaking of injuries, he's missed almost more than he's played. He missed an entire season.
He did. He had almost that J.J. McCarthy situation where his rookie season, he was out, right, the whole year, pretty much. And so he's kind of starting from scratch. We watched him in high school, gangly kid, lots of skill, but you're thinking, well, he's going to have to kind of grow into his body to compete against these men in the paint. But again, like so many of these guys that end up developing an overall game, he's got the green light to go ahead and pop 3-pointers when he has the opportunity and does so. He can block shots. He can do everything. And he's turned out to be quite a find for Oklahoma City.
Through 8 games, he's averaging 19.6 points, 8.9 boards per game. He's shooting 59.3% from the field.
Amazing.
37.1% from three-point range, 87.8% from the free throw line. Here's what he said. He said, I've learned how to get better now. I know what I have to get better at. Before, I was just working hard because I wanted to work hard. And that's kind of just what I do. And I love to play basketball every day, but going through a long playoff stretch and winning the finals, you really get the best shot up to 7 times in a row from really good teams. And that teaches you what you have to work on. So, like he says, you get the best shot from those teams. Right. They know your strengths and your weaknesses, and then you know what you have to work on. Sort of like what Ant has been doing this offseason, working on some of the things he needs to work on.
You can tell that Ant has worked on some things. And they might be beating up on the Oswalds right now. They got a couple games back at home. They don't play till Friday night. I think that's against, is that Sacramento again? Then they got Denver here on Saturday. But they look more cohesive than they have. But getting back to the Thunder, I mean, they're 11-1. Not exactly resting on their laurels. They got the Lakers at home tonight.
That's a professional basketball team that takes their business seriously.
Well, they're the most talented team in the league, and they care about each other, and they play 10 deep, as you said, and they have a great system in place. But they're not taking nights off. You're right, because they're getting, as they say, every team's best shot. We got to try to knock off the champs. They've only lost one, and that was, I think, when they had a 20-point lead and lost the game to Portland. I think it was.
It says, would roller coaster Rosie trade Ant for Kobe Bryant in his prime?
Yeah,
I always love that.
Okay, we just want to make sure.
Yeah, I would definitely.
And then here's
definitely
another one that says,
yes,
and this is the one I'm very curious what your answer would be. Would you trade Anthony Edwards for Alex Tuck?
I almost did a spit take.
I know, I saw that.
That was pretty funny.
Would you trade Ant for Alex Tuck?
I'd have to think about that. The one that got away.
The one that got away.
Where is Alex Tuck? Tenna?
I think he's still at Buffalo, but I'd have to.
In Buffalo, you're
Who do you think
in
was
exile.
better at what they did? Alex Tuck or Friar Tuck?
Friar Tuck.
I think Friar Tuck was better at what he did. I think you're absolutely right.
How did I fall in love with Alex Tuck?
He's playing for the Sabres.
No, that's too bad.
Speaking of hockey, we lost last night.
Yeah.
Cirabelli, what's his name again, Teneby?
Macklin Celebrini.
The kid.
Celebrini.
Celebration.
Yeah,
The celebration. He was pretty good. His second time, he's been the thorn in our side against San Jose. So we won a couple of games, and it tended to be the youngster, the backup, Jesper Wallstead was not in the game.
He was not. It was Gus Bus last night.
Was Gus good?
He didn't really have to do a whole lot. So I guess ultimately, you gave up 2 goals, and the second one was in overtime, but he didn't have a lot on him that he was challenging to make big saves on.
Yeah, it's not like
the vast majority of the game.
Dominant in the first couple periods, and they just had the lone goal, which unfortunately didn't hold up, and they ended up losing another overtime game. A point. It's just the NHL system. It's hard to get excited about that, but you got to find a way to produce more offense, and it's few and far between where they can do that.
The Thunder beat Golden State last night in that game. And
the Warriors are...
Well, there were a couple of things I saw.
There's some bad teams in the league.
From first of all, Draymond said the loss to OKC, he doesn't feel the team is committed to winning.
Yeah.
Not a good sign.
No, not when... No.
I mean, you just don't hear that very often.
Kerr loved hearing that.
We're just not committed to winning. And then, in addition to that, there was a quote from Jimmy Buckets who said, I think that the fight's not always there. We got to fight no matter what. Most of that fighting I'm talking about is on the defensive end. Not getting stops means you're not just it means you're just not playing hard. You're just not doing whatever it takes to win.
We've heard that before.
6 weeks, 8 weeks into the season, or 8 games into the season, and they're already talking about not committed to winning and not playing hard on defense. It's insane.
Well, we've heard the Wolves quotes sometimes after games.
I don't understand it.
I mean, I'm not saying there's the have and have-nots already in the very, very competitive Western Conference, but it's clearly, OKC and the rest right now. San Antonio's off to a great start. Denver's off to a great start. They're both 8-2. The Lakers are 8-3 without LeBron. Yeah, Houston's, right there, and the Wolves are 7-4. So, I mean, and then you got, the middling teams right now with Phoenix, Golden State, Portland, and Utah's okay. And then the ones that are kind of bringing up the rear, including the Dallas Mavericks, who fired their general manager yesterday.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. And he, fired deservedly so, I guess.
Harrison,
But where's ownership in this thing? I mean, they signed off on it, right? I mean, because the general manager, I think, doesn't a general manager?
I don't know if they did.
Well, yeah. Well, you have.
Well, they have to be aware of it. Do you think
any general manager makes any major decision?
Well, especially a trade like that.
There's no way he just all of a sudden that the owner of the team, whoever it was, all of a sudden was watching Sports Center, and all of a sudden he just traded Luka Doncic.
I'm sure there was a line of communication that was open, but Nico sold the idea that getting an off-injured Anthony Davis and the return they got from the Lakers.
Which wasn't much, but I guess what I'm saying is, he deservedly he got fired, but
right.
But the owner of the team might have wanted to step in and go, no, wait a minute now, Nico, what are you thinking about? He explains to me. Now, the one thing I will say about this, though, I think that Luka ought to give Nico a call and thank him for motivating him, right? Because you remember what Nico said was he basically said he's pudgy and he doesn't play defense. Well, guess what? He ain't pudgy anymore. So he motivated Luka into getting in shape, which I would think will make Luka better. And certainly he's had a start to this. There was a note. I saw a stat, something about it was anytime you're compared to Wilt Chamberlain, you're doing something well. Yeah, it was like the best start in 3 games. Off his 40 points in his first 3 games hasn't been done. The only time I think it's ever been done was Wilt Chamberlain.
And he used to average 50 a game, basically. I still, everybody questioned it at the time, what are you thinking? And when you trade when you trade your franchise player who's not even reached the peak of his career yet, it's a head scratcher to say the least. But they have to live with the consequences. Now, they didn't sell out a game, I think, for the first time in I don't know how many years the other night. So the fans are rebelling. They're irritated. They're 3-8. The Mavs are 3-8. They're bringing up the rear in the Western Conference. And after watching that team, be a contender for the last, I don't know how many years, a winning championship.
Well, it would have been interesting to see if Kyrie had stayed. That's why these guys can't stay healthy. If Kyrie stayed healthy and street clothes, because they would have been a formidable team. I don't think they would have been as good. That was they were thinking that was going to change everything.
Then they end up with the number 1 pick.
Because he was doing the defense wins championships kind of a thing.
Right.
But we'll never know. And so and I don't think he'll ever be a GM again. I
doubt
it's
it.
a pretty safe guess. Let's pause, come back with more. Tennevy's got a keyword, though. It's our national cash contest.
The Fan and 2 Men in a Junk Truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword money at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That keyword is money. Enter now at KFAN.com. We got your shot at tickets to Sunday's divisional battle all week long by showing us your purple preset. Set KFAN as a preset on the iHeartRadio app. Screenshot it and post with hashtag KFAN purple preset to your social media. And make sure to follow and tag KFAN as well. Winners will be DM'd this Friday. Get the full rules at KFAN.com. Keyword contest.
When it comes to sports is your whole life just sports. Sure, I like the action on the gridiron or on the court or on the ice or on the diamond, but or on the links, and I guess the pitch, whichever your favorite is, or on the oval, whatever your favorite sports are. But I like the off the field stuff and the coaches' annoyances and such like that. Dennis
makes for good fodder. Yes.
Dennis Waszak is an NFL writer for the Associated Press. He's covered the New York Jets as a beat writer since 2006. Mm-hmm. God bless him. He's also an editor on the AP's National Sports Desk. He's worked for AP since 1996. So in covering the Jets, here's the headline of the stories. Aaron Glenn takes a defiant stance with reporters on discussing Jets players' injuries. Did you see this story? This is so good.
I did not.
Dateline, Florham Park, New Jersey. Aaron Glenn took an unconventionally defiant approach Tuesday to providing updates on the New York Jets' injured players. Then he got into it with reporters. The coach opened his news conference when he normally would run through the players being traded for injury. Mm-hmm. Same thing happens here with KOC and all the other 30 coaches across the NFL. By telling those in the press room they should instead ask an ESPN reporter whose story Monday, according to a source, star wide receiver Garrett Wilson will miss 3 or 4 weeks with a sprained right knee. Glenn said, I'm going to pass on talking about injuries since Rich, he's not there, has all the answers. Rich, he pointed at Rich's empty seat. He was participating in a Pro Football Hall of Fame selection meeting on Tuesday.
He was not.
But he said,
he normally covers it.
Yeah, why don't you ask Rich? He says, so you guys can get all the injuries from Rich.
Oh.
Okay. Glenn then went into a breakdown of the Patriots, who the Jets will face in New England on Thursday night. So then they talked about, Wilson missed the first 2 games of the NFL career, then injury to the same knee before returning last Sunday. He had no catches in a game for the first time when he was hurt in the third quarter after coming hard down on his knee. Glenn said Monday morning that Wilson would have an MRI and the knee would be evaluated by doctors, and the Jets would know more about his chances of playing after that. ESPN reported later that afternoon that Wilson would be sidelined for about a month. Mm-hmm. At the end of his 8-minute session with the media, reporters circled back on Wilson and asked Glenn if the wide receiver would be a candidate for the injured list. The coach again insisted everyone should just ask Rich. An Associated Press reporter responded to Glenn by saying the media wanted to hear what the coach had to say about Wilson's injury. Here's what he said. You guys have been hearing it from me, but now since we're reporting stuff that I haven't said, then maybe you should just ask him. I'm not going to tell you. I don't want to waste my time when it comes to that, when it comes to who's starting. So Glenn, irritated that something leaked, and I don't know if it's accurate or not. There's nothing more, and that was a story from earlier today. I've not, or maybe it was it late last, was it the day today?
Today's the 12th.
Yeah, this was early evening yesterday.
Okay.
So I've not heard anything since whether he's good, the player in question is going to play or not. But I just love that the coach is he's annoyed by the fact that after he's saying one thing about a player, then a reporter a little while later reports that he's probably out for a month.
Right.
And whether that's accurate or not, I don't know.
Well, and this is where, the Jets are 2-7, not going anywhere again. And this is where cracks in the foundation. This is why one of the many reasons why I pick on that organization. I think they're inept. But this is a sign of frustration. And Aaron Glenn's been around a long time. And I'm sure when he reads that and some reporter is reporting it, and he probably has good sources to say he probably is out for 3 weeks. This is where I miss, and I don't know, somebody ran the bite before, and we just had KOC on again today. And KOC is kind of the modern day coach that we've all kind of, accepted. His answers are pretty slick, and he knows how to turn a phrase. He knows how to say things without being inflammatory for the most part. God, I miss Jerry Burns sometimes. I mean, when Burns...
A lot of those old school guys. Zimmer was the same way, too.
Zimmer would bristle at Chris Thomason mostly, but he would bristle at some of the questions, and he just was not a big fan of the media for the most part, didn't like having to deal with them. But Burnsy set the bar so high. Imagine Burnsy being asked about what the Vikings are going through right now with their coaching. Why aren't you running the ball more?
Right.
And then people maybe going after Bob Schnelker, who was calling the plays, offensive coordinator, and he had that classic rant that he had. But you don't find many of those coaches anymore that go off like that. They're too kind of buttoned down in this world we live in. And the media attention is much more intense. The glare is much more intense now than it ever was back when Burnsy was coaching. Yeah.
Well, and players, too, it depends if they've had a bad day, had a bad game, whatever the case may be. And I remember, I've told this story before, and I've told you, where this was back when I was Cub reporter at the Forest Lake radio station. I would get my Vikings media pass. It was the coolest thing ever. I got to go to the Vikings locker room after the game. And this is right after the game. I mean, they're still just taking the tape off their off their ends at the dome, taking the tape off, and they're still in their uniforms. And, the media's there. You were there. Everybody's there. They're sticking microphones and cameras into these guys' faces. So we're over by Tim Irwin, former Vikings lineman, who became, isn't he a judge in Tennessee?
He's a judge in Tennessee. I just saw him a couple of weeks ago.
So he's over there, and he's just sweat. He's a lineman. Right. So he's just went through 3 hours of blocking and doing the whole thing. So he's taking, and I don't know, it was some Cub reporter, some TV guy, young kid. You could tell he was younger than I was. He looked like he wasn't more than 20 years old, 22 years old. He's there with a camera guy, and they asked him if they can talk to him, and he goes, yeah, sure. So he's taking off his stuff, and they start the camera with the lights on. The kid asks a question. I'm not making this up. I'm standing there. I got so it's just we are the only two media people there. The TV guy from North Dakota, where the hell he was from, and me. And he asks a question. Everyone's taking his tape off, sitting there, and all of a sudden he looks up and he goes, "That's the stupidest question I've ever heard in my life, and I'm not going to dignify it with an answer." And he just kept taking the tape off. And the poor kid just all of a sudden
he just stopped. Cry.
The light went off on the camera. The camera stopped rolling, and we all just turned around and walked away. But it was hilarious where he just basically said, "That's the stupidest." I don't remember what the question was, but he called it the stupidest question he ever heard, and I won't dignify with an answer.
Irwin Tim cared a lot. And, he was on my show a couple of times. One time in particular, it was on, again, this is live. And the Vikings didn't have a particularly good game, and the offensive line didn't particularly have a good game, and Irwin got beat on Dexter Manley or someone beat him on a quarterback sack, and I showed the play, and as soon as we went to a commercial break, he just lit into me. He goes, you had to show that first, huh? You had to show that play. I said, well, it was part of the game. I wasn't necessarily picking on it. It wasn't the only thing that happened, but yeah, man, he was not happy. But that's the way it kind of rolled.
He was a hell of a player too.
He was a very good player. He cared a lot. Yeah. He really cared. He would tell me once while I was leaving on the road somewhere. He goes, I think you care more about winning and losing than half of my teammates. I said, well, I don't know about that, but that's kind of an interesting statement you made. Yeah, he was the judge, all right.
An MLB gambling story broke just the other day. So let's talk about that on the other side of the break. Yep. We'll take a short break here. Last segment to go. Pitch rigging scandal is what it is. We'll see what Rosie has to think about that. We'll do it on the other side of the break. It's Common Man Program with Common 10 to be and Mark Rosen here on the Fan.
KFAN welcomes Trans-Siberian Orchestra for 2 amazing shows at Target Center on December 28th at 3 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. Tickets are on sale now. Get complete show details, including a link to buy tickets at KFAN.com /calendar.
Not only is it a wet blanket Wednesday, it's also a wild Wednesday on the Fan. Your shot at tickets to this Saturday's game happening right here and now. Be the 11th caller. at 1-800-320-5326. 1-800-320-5326. You're the 11th caller. You win a pair of tickets to see the Minnesota Wild take on the Anaheim Ducks. Just call right now and you'll be a winner from the Minnesota Wild and all of us here at KFAN. Associated Press story, Mark Rosen says, MLB said it's authorized gaming operators. Major League Baseball said it's authorized gaming operators to cap bets on individual pitches at $200 and exclude them from parlays a day after two Cleveland Guardian players were indicted and accused of rigging pitches at the behest of gamblers. MLB said the limits were agreed to by sportbook operators representing more than 98% of the U.S. betting market. The league said in a statement that pitch-level bets on outcomes of pitch velocity and balls and strikes present heightened integrity risk because they focus on one-off events that can be determined by a single player and can be inconsequential to the outcome of the game. League went on to say, the risk on these pitch-level markets will be significantly mitigated by this new action targeted at the incentive to engage in misconduct. The creation of a strict bet limit on this type of bet and the ban on parlaying them reduces the payout for these markets and the ability to circumvent the new limit. Pitchers Emmanuel Clace and Luis Ortiz were indicted Sunday in U.S. District Court in Brooklyn on charges they took bribes from sports bettors to throw certain types of pitches. They were charged with wire fraud conspiracy, honest services wire fraud conspiracy, conspiracy to influence sporting contests by bribery and money laundering conspiracy. The indictment says the two helped two unnamed gamblers in the Dominican Republic win at least $460,000 on bets placed on the speed and outcome of certain pitches, including some that landed in the dirt. The players are denying any involvement.
Yeah, the attorneys are saying that already, and they've been, I think, whether or not they're able to even play baseball this year. There's so many elements. So this is in the wake of what happened with the NBA and the betting scandal and the poker situation, everything else that's going on, and it's going to force leagues to, I think, just abandon these prop bets. That in itself, the idea that these pitchers, obviously Class A, I think that's what I pronounce it.
Is it Class A?
I'm not sure, but I mean, in that same article, this is prosecutors allege Ortiz was paid a total, listen to this, $12,000 to intentionally throw a ball instead of a strike in two Major League Baseball games. $12,000? And Class A allegedly received matching payments for his role in helping to arrange Ortiz's rigged pitches, winning at least $60,000. How much money this guy's making? I mean, $12,000, $60,000, they make that in a game in an inning. And so you're thinking to yourself, well, what are they doing? And I saw some highlights and they showed a couple of the pitches and you go, well, he threw the ball in the dirt. That can happen at any time. But this is really serious stuff when you start talking about that and how they got involved in rigging pitches with people that maybe they knew, and the bettors would, they were making $400,000, as you mentioned. It's astonishing.
They may have been getting a cut of that.
Well, they may have. I mean, even then, you just kind of go, what's the upside of this? I mean, and obviously they found out.
They figure they're not going to get caught.
Well, yeah,
but it's 12,000. If they said, hey, if you throw one in the dirt and I'll give you $12,000, you go, okay.
Why don't they work with the Twins pitchers? Because they were throwing balls in the dirt all the time. I don't think they had to be. I don't think anybody approached Louis Varlin when he was here. And said,
I'm not trying to excuse it. But
no, I know.
Saying, to me, it's just money's money. People have money.
Again, the more money.
When it's easy money.
It's the same thing that happened in the NBA.
Money as you can get when you say, you throw one ball into the dirt and you'll get $12,000, you go,
I'll take it.
Why not?
Sure.
And what MLB's saying is that's not like throwing a game. It can be rather inconsequential. If you throw one ball in the dirt, it's ball one. Then if you strike the guy out, what's the difference? Yeah. I'm not saying that makes it okay, but I think Major League Baseball is even saying, it's easier to, I guess they figure it's easier to police this because it's a one-off pitch that's not really, it's not like a bunch of players. Right.
They're in on it. Yeah, the bettors would wager on the speed and type of Class A's pitches based on the information they received in advance, sometimes even during games. That's the one thing. What are they, in between games, are getting on their phone, they're going to their locker and texting them saying, hey, next inning, I'm going to throw a couple pitches in the dirt. Go ahead and put, a couple,
I guess that's what they do.
Man, it's incredible.
Well, and we're seeing, there have been all sorts
this after
of
the Rozier thing, like I said, in the NBA.
Yeah, well, exactly. We're just coming off the WNBA
Right.
thing. You have points shaving and telling people you're only going to play this long, so the over and under on how many points you score, and you wonder even how much more widespread it is, not just in Major League Baseball and the NBA, but in all sports.
Well, the temptation, we're talking about high-paid pro athletes. You're thinking the temptation of college athletes and what's out there right now with the exposure. And again, I've talked about it as we were just watching. I think maybe I was in the other room or with you. I always get confused. Watching with Tenna. There's a betting show right now on NBA on ESPN.
Okay,
a guy's laying. He said, take Texas plus 6.5 points this weekend in their game. I don't even know who they're playing. And I'm thinking you're some college kid that's sitting in your dorm room and you're looking at this, you're watching this game and you're going, I got my phone, I got access to a few $100, whatever. I'm going to take Texas plus 6.5. This is, and then you go, well, how important is it going to be at some point where the quarterback is going to get influenced and going, you talk about nil money. I got $300,000 in the bank waiting for you if you throw an incompletion or an interception here.
Right.
This stuff is opening up a whole different world, and I never imagined that the leagues would be in bed with the gambling sites and everything that's going on, and now they're kind of caught going, what are we going to do? Well, they're trying to put their finger in the dike over here to say, we're not going to allow prop bets anymore or, parlay bets on this and this and this, and in the meantime, it's just...
You talk about quarterbacks, how much they could influence a bet easily. But if you could go to a quarterback and say, he intentionally has a bad game. You can overthrow balls, throw balls in the dirt, get sacked, and just throw incompletions, throw interceptions. And unless you're looking at it with a microscope, you wouldn't know. You just say, kid had a bad game,
And it happens, yeah. So that's just, again, what a kind of a stunning series of events between the NBA and then this story that the betting scandal now in Major League Baseball with these two pitchers on the same team. And one of them, I think, wasn't he a Cy Young candidate? I mean, he was arguably one of the top
somebody
closers.
Just told me he's got a $20 million. He had a $20 million contract. So yeah, you're right. When you think about $12,000, it certainly wouldn't seem you don't want to risk that.
I don't understand.
It's just a matter of time before this is going to happen. I mean, this is probably even more widespread than we even know, right?
It ain't so,
we don't know it in this state because we can't do a lot of this. But if you're in Illinois, you can live bet. What's this golfer going to do on his next shot? A golfer could easily tank a shot, right? I mean,
sure.
For instance, you could say, Tennessee is going to slice this into the woods.
Well, that would be like minus 1,200, so that you wouldn't get great odds on that.
Not a good idea.
That's for sure. So
it sounds like, Rosie, you're blaming NFL Spread Swing for participating in the problem with gambling.
I am.
With all the young kids.
I'm doing my part by being in last place right now, so don't listen to me. It used to be Deuce, now it's me. So that's for fun. We have nothing at risk other than the fact that
just pride.
I have the bet with 10 about Denver beating and I think I'm going to say this right now, and we'll do Spread Swing tomorrow. I think Kansas City will beat the Broncos this week.
Oh,
and even though I'm picking Denver, I even like it's a game. I think the game's in Denver too. I don't know. I'm not impressed with the Broncos right now. But
you want to get out of our bet?
No.
No,
I don't want to get out of it because I don't like doing it.
You think Philadelphia is going to beat Detroit?
I do.
Enemy?
Are we having another one of our big bets?
That's how confident I am in the kiddies.
I know you are. Well, you have a right to be.
$4.
$6.
What?
$6.
Man, you're digging deep.
No points, none of that.
No, just straight up. All right.
Take the kiddies.
You'd probably get points.
I don't want
Or is it at Detroit?
I don't need
No, it's in Philly.
I don't need the points.
2.5 or something.
I don't need points. I'm picking straight out.
Well, I mean, Detroit's been more impressive overall. I think Philly just wins games. They just, they have the poise. And they have, they're, even the other night, the game against Green Bay, it's just like, you just kind of feel they're going to come up with a big play. Hurts is going to figure it out.
You know me, I love defensive battles, but even I was getting a little tired of that game after a while.
Was a little.
I mean, the defense. I think some of it was inadequate offense as well, but a lot of it was defense. Man, those teams.
Yeah, not a good night for LaFleur and Jordan Love either. No, that's for sure.
Well, I saw a story. And I didn't read it. I just saw the headline. Is LaFleur on the hot seat?
I saw that.
Would he be on the hot seat?
I don't know why. I mean, If he's on the hot seat,
wasn't he like through the first couple of years like one of the winningest coaches in the history of football?
I don't understand how. Again, is that some writer coming up with this?
I don't know.
Throwing it against the wall. I mean,
I don't know. Yeah, that happens a lot. I've done it. Everybody does it in the media. You throw something against the wall sometimes. Just to have
so many teams have. We're concentrating so much here because of what's going on with the young quarterback and how KOC is calling the game, and that's fine. It's all open, it's open season on that sort of thing. That's why fans get involved in the game. But the idea that management somehow is going to respond to it, I mean, there's so many coaches that get fired for any number of reasons, mostly for losing. We already watched, the Giants lose, fired their head coach already after losing to the Bears last week.
That team is what you would like to call a hot mess.
Yeah, I do like to call them a hot mess. Yeah, but they lost. Their quarterback. And I think where's Winston playing? Is he starting this week?
Jameis Winston, yeah, Giants.
He's starting for the Giants.
He's starting for the New York Football Giants.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That guy keeps finding, he finds another life. Good for him. I like watching him. He's a fun player to watch.
You like him?
I don't mind Jameis Winston. I mean, he's a little bit better than.
Should the Vikings trade for him and start him?
No.
What did you you like the Vikings against the Bears this week? Would be my guess.
I mean, yeah, I'm not like head over heels over it. I mean, the Bears have been playing pretty well. It's not their fault. They haven't played. They haven't beat a team with a winning record. It's not that they got a last place schedule. That's what they play. Yeah. Now it's going to get a little different. And I mean, I think I want to believe that what the Vikings did in Detroit, in playing so well against the Lions and putting the pressure on Goff and stopping the Lions' running game and doing all the things and. McCarthy, especially after Detroit scored that opening touchdown and McCarthy moving the team down the field, these are crucial games right now. The Vikings have 2 more divisional games in the next 2 weeks. Bears here, then they go to Green Bay. You got to win both those. You got to win all your divisional games. They go to Seattle the following week. They will not only not be favored. That's probably a loss. I don't see them winning that game against old Sammy Darnold. Then they got Washington here. No. But they have a schedule now that's a little bit more favorable on paper. Washington here, at Dallas, at the Giants. Then they play Detroit here on Christmas Day.
You like this club?
No, I mean, no. I'm just saying that if you want to project a team, fighting for a playoff spot in December, I don't look at them as much more. I mean, I think if they're close to 500, and we'll see how the rest of the league kind of works itself out here with, there's a lot of good teams in the West, as we've seen. I mean, you got the Rams, San Francisco, and Seattle. Are all 3 of those teams going to make it this year? I mean, that's pretty hard to say that they're not.
Yeah, well. 1
division winner and 2 wild card teams. That doesn't leave you with a lot. So, I mean, they just have to take care of business. That's all. I mean, I've resigned myself to think that, what you see is what you get right now. The objective for the rest of the season is obviously to play at a high level defensively, but to see what McCarthy can do. Now he's got a bandage on his right hand. Something not to be worried about until he sails that first pass to Justin Jefferson on Sunday, and people go, "Oh boy, his hand is hurting." He's for whatever reason he just has not connected with JJ. I don't know if it's just if he's feeling the pressure that inherent with having the number 1 receiver arguably in the game, and that KOC is talking about it all the time. But he's always seemed more comfortable throwing the ball to Addison or Speedy, as they like to call him, Jalen Naylor. He just hasn't gotten into a rhythm.
You like Speedy?
Well, he threw a beautiful ball right away the first part of the game on Sunday. But I would throw some safe patterns to Jefferson just to kind of get those guys into a rhythm. Throw it 8-yard outs or whatever. Just don't have to go for the home run ball.
So now you're an offensive coordinator.
I'm trying to be.
Okay.
Yeah, listening to me, though.
Yeah.
Are we even sure they should be playing McCarthy? Because he's not 100%.
Well,
maybe we should only be playing him if he's 100%.
Wow. I think he's. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not.
Was it
right? I mean, that was the previous rationale.
Did he have a swelling of his hand? What was it?
Yeah,
he had like a bandage on his hand.
Yeah, they downplayed it, but they downplayed it now until after the game. Then we'll hear that he could barely squeeze a rubber ball or whatever to kind of get his hand going.
Well,
Max Brosmer's warming up in the bullpen.
What if he's brilliant Sunday?
JJ?
No. Brosmer.
Oh, Brosmer. No, I don't know.
What if Brosmer starts and is brilliant?
He's not going to start unless he has a huge setback, but that would be fun. I mean, fans would, we always like to root for the backup quarterback. It's just the nature of the NFL. Almost, going back to Josh Dobbs playing here. Always the backup.
This one says, enough of the quack, Rosie. What's the update on you and PA's Twitter beef?
There's no beef. There's literally,
what is going on
there's
there?
literally no beef. I don't know what these guys are talking about.
There was a beef, is what I heard.
Zero beef.
Tenemy, was there a beef between the two on Twitter?
You quit trying to stir the pot.
That's what somebody said.
No, I literally was talking for the last time. I'll just say this. PA was talking about young quarterbacks. First 4 starts in their careers. And he mentioned a whole bunch of them. And again, this is a whole different era. This is 60 years ago with Fran Tarkenton. And he said in Fran's first 4 starts, he had, these minuscule numbers,
right,
which is true. But I said, I don't think you can say that without throwing in the fact that Fran Tarkenton came off the bench in the first game of this franchise's history and they weren't throwing the ball very much back then. Threw 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions, in one of the biggest upsets in NFL history at that time.
In NFL history?
Absolutely. The Bears were probably, I don't know, at that time, the Bears were a monster. The Vikings were an expansion team that threw a bunch of guys off the street on the game and into the game and in uniform with Norm Van Brocklin. Well, yeah, it probably was.
Right.
I don't know if they had been. There have been point spreads, I'm sure there were, but they would have been 24, 27-point underdogs in that game against the Bears. They were the monsters of the Midway.
So
against Papa Bear.
Tarkenton did coming off the bench.
So my point was
McCarthy did against the Bears in the very first game of the season.
Well, McCarthy started that game.
Oh, he did. That's
George Shaw started the game. That was my point. So PA excluded that. And I just said, look, if you're going to throw that in there, you got to acknowledge the fact that Tarkenton came off the bench and did what he did. And then the Vikings were a horrible expansion team. They won 3 games that year. They got blown out. Tarkenton was not good for a long time. But the first game was. So, if you're going to talk about that stuff, so there's no beef. I was just pointing something out.
Did he come back at you?
He didn't come back at me. He just pointed something out about the stats. I went, yeah, you're right. From a starting standpoint, Fran wasn't very good, but the team wasn't good.
Do you and PA get along?
We get along great.
Okay.
Yeah. Better than me and you.
Yeah, well. That wouldn't be too difficult.
No, I'm just kidding. No, we get along fine. I don't see PA all that often. I see him I jump in the broadcast booth on Sundays and I watch him operate, and then I do my little post-game thing with Muss, and yeah, he's a national treasure.
He is a national treasure. I don't think there's any question.
So no, there's no beef.
All right.
Oh my God. We're trying to stir up the controversy.
Well, I read
you went public on it on Twitter.
Yeah, but it wasn't a beef. I was just pointing out something about Fran, and just a caveat to say, Fran was awful in his first 4 starts, but let's keep in mind he threw for 4 touchdown passes in his first game coming off the bench.
Why are we glossing over what Warren said about PA moving on to be the Chicago Cubs play-by-play guy?
I don't know why are we
over that?
I have no idea. I have no comment about that because I don't know anything about it.
How about you glossing over your beef with the Jets?
I'm not glossing over anything about the
you're
beef.
Just kind of letting it go.
Lots of beef.
Yeah, you got lots of beef with a lot of people.
I don't have any beef with them. I just think they're a dysfunctional organization. They're awful.
Look at another music saves them.
And then one more thing about the Jets. Oh, look at the clock.
And how that works.
I got the inside scoop on that. Yeah.
Spread swing tomorrow, 1:30.
Yeah.
You, me, Deuce, baby brother.
Is Deuce going to be able to participate tomorrow?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
He's now going to work really early because he's running before work instead of after work because it's too dark when he gets home.
Yeah, it is dark.
So he's getting up. He's leaving the house at like 6 a.m. to get to work.
Good for you, Deuce.
At 7 o'clock.
Where does he get that work ethic from? I don't know.
Hey, now.
I don't understand.
You got a beef with my work ethic. He's got a beef with everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 1:30.
Yes, sir.
Tenby, thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. We enjoyed our visit with you today, and we'll talk to you tomorrow at 12 noon. Stick around. Big Ticket JG, they're next right here on The Fan.
And good night, folks. And good night, Mrs. Calabash. Wherever you are.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.